At first, the demons killed the surrounding people and animals, but then Radagast himself joined them, overcome with a thirst for revenge. The demons didn't just need blood, they needed strength. And then the guardian of heaven, Avarasanatar, suggested that they summon the strongest of the demons, whose name was Baha. The demon was created from metal, but not from ordinary corundum, like some gods and demons, like the higher gods. It was created from native corundum. The Bakach was created in an ancient divine forge, and equipped with special magic. By its nature, it had to have a high spirit penetration. A bronze disc was placed in the mouth of the Bahahu, which was inscribed on its entire surface, with sacred writings for power over all demons. Bakach rose from his metal shelter. The ghostly gleam of a sword appeared above his head. Lord Janai attacked the Lord of Demons, and lightning flashed. But the demon turned out to be a formidable opponent. He began to run through the heavens and summon fire spirits. Another demon came to the rescue of Bakach. It was Mahotsa. He emerged from the air on his chariot, and struck from the sky with invisible fire. And then the two demons came together again in battle with the shining god Janai Sagaravich. The god of victory emitted light and lightning, preventing the demons from striking him a single blow. And these rays of truth, which Lord Sagaravich used to slay the demons, killed them. So 2 legions of demons fell. Their battle ended with the complete victory of Lord Janai, and the bodies of the demons fell at the feet of the holy monks of the co-enchanters. The co-enchanters guarded their bodies, and created new powerful weapons from them. Lord Janai called Avarasanatar and cut off his nose. The monks of the Order of the Flaming Blood laid their hands on Avarasanatar and he burned down, and after his death went to suffer on Patala Kanakashta. The monks of the Order of the Flaming Blood created a staff from his bones, decorated it with gold and silver, and sent this staff against the possessed Danava war magicians. This battle would have ended with the victory of the Order of the Flaming Blood, if Radagast had not raised all the dead present into battle. And although the staff of the monks of the Order of the Flaming Blood was better than any weapon of Radagast, its dark magical power was truly inhuman. The monks of the Order of the Flaming Blood received many wounds, and were forced to retreat. But with the help of these wounds, they put all the Danavas to flight, and only one of the most powerful Danavas, Enritai, attacked the righteous. Hruna, Savarama, Semerglislav, Kajurichan, Ranaka, Shurinya, Avardalta, Kalhavasta, Daksanavista, Istabhavana, Dadvaksa, Kalakripa, Wathusana, were named by Janai as similar to great temples. Lord Janai also resurrected Shilatai by improving his divine form, and also blessed Saint Sakraslav, the son of the Almighty, called the monks of the Order of the Amber Tear and restored in front of them in the form of Legazyarant, Dayset, Kailantai, Kavas and Asuslav from the Order of Striking Eagles. The Techno-Guardians, on the orders of Radagast, created 49 clones combining the qualities of Baha and Mahotsa, and threw them into battle. By the time Enritai and his darkest sorcery were defeated, the first thing that Enritai realized in his afterlife is that he is dead, and from now on is not tormenting but tormented. But there were other discoveries in the future that Janai did not immediately reveal to him. It also turned out that Hruna and Savarama received scars from the spirits of emptiness, and because of this, the spirits of emptiness cannot be expelled until the monks remove these scars with prayer. But these spirits of emptiness, they will be able to be exiled only after the destruction of Alkvanhagar, the most important of the main spirits of the void. And the destruction of this spirit will happen when a drop of holy blood gets into Alkvanhagar, and it will be possible to stop the process of destroying and turning this country into a desert. As at all times the priests of the Yellow Star controlled the spirits of the void, so in this world as well. Janai was not mistaken here. Soon, just on the day of Inra's death, 7 terrible rains descended on her, which decided the fate of the country. Mahabahah's clones burst into the battle, filled with anger. Their actions were controlled by a monstrous force, but they acted carelessly. Janai immediately killed one of them, and immediately threw the rest into the abyss where they would wait for the end of time. Another victory of Janai, which was treated with great respect, was getting rid of several ghosts of Nagavatha. And in the next battle, Janai killed Nagavatha himself, piercing his chest with an iron pole. Janai roared the mantra, Ara is holy. Holy Ara. Ara is the god of gods. There is no one else besides him. Janai killed hundreds of ghosts, demons, Janissaries, Danavas and other unclean in an effort to break through to Radagast. But Radagast was throwing thousands of demons, ghosts, and the risen dead at him. Then Janai decided to destroy the Vukorfsatak, who stood in front commanding half of the army. But Vukorfsatak, realizing that Janai was in front of him, prepared for battle, raising his formidable sword. Throwing away the sacred sword, Janai pulled out a shiny disc, and shouted, about the Vukorfsats, "My weapon is irresistible. I will destroy your lying lair, and then I will kill you. And then I will destroy Radagast, and your army, and everyone who comes to hand." A terrible disc whistled through the air, and struck the Vukorfsatak in the chest. And then the danavas fell, and the heavy two-handed scythe of Janai fell on the heads of the swordsmen of Radagast. And although the battle was long and hard, the victory was for Janai. And when sunset began, the dragon Mantuanig appeared in the sky over the country, which stood on the chest of the dead Vukorfsatak. From below, Janai could not see Mantuanig, but he knew that he was looking at him, laughing and flapping his wings. Then he sang the famous song of Radagast, the sword of Kajirich. And then he raised his hands, and shook his fist at Janai. While Janai was regrouping the remaining troops, in preparation for the night battle, Mantuanig recalled the words of a prophecy recorded by the ancient scribe Ajahn of Galjabath: "Dragons in alliance with danavas always achieve victory," and, according to the prediction, this union was to take place. Janai needed to run urgently, but he wasn't going to do it. The dragon knew that Janai was as busy fighting during the day as he was at night, but during the day the son of Ra itself nourished him with power. That's why there was a better chance of defeating Janai in the evening. When the light faded, he took off, and after a few hours he reached a place called the Abode of Dragons and called them to the aid of the danavas. This time, Janai had to fight without the help of his stone horses, and without other brothers, but he had to win. Janai felt that he was on the right path, and his army was true to him. Although this time it was different. This time Mantuanig was returning with an army of dragons. They were hungry lizards with no other goals in life. Their combined power was enormous, but even if there were fewer of them, Mantuanig still had the advantage. He had the best attacking force, and Janai had 24 mechanical beasts that obeyed their riders much better, but they stayed in the capital. And here his army was very limited, and although the rest of the lizards were perfectly visible, and Janai himself was in his armor, he could not compare with the aliens in battle. However, he won the first attack. He killed Mantuanig, while Radagast was rebuilding fortifications in his capital. In addition, Radagast began to organize the defense from the rear. He had several thousand men in new armor, which he himself had brought from Deep Agatvarth and prepared for this war. But even this number of people was not enough to stop the offensive. Janai had no chance of winning as Radagast thought, but he still appeared on the battlefield and led an army of lizards. A fierce battle continued throughout the night, and with the first rays of the sun, the last dragon was defeated. Several times it seemed to Janai that everything was in his hands, but he was wrong. Radagast retreated and threw new forces at Prince Janai, apparently fearing that Lord Janai would destroy the entire Masvanacht and start killing all the danavas and their subordinates. Radagast wanted to raise the dead lizards, but Istabhavana, Kalakripa, Wathasana burned them. Together with them, two rulers Dada and Nagastus died who came to the aid of their brother. There was only one Radagast left again, and again, the Kyurnshit went into action. This went on for several days and nights. The arrows that Radagast sent were deadly, and one had to prepare carefully for it. But Radagast was running out of people too, and his troops were already exhausted. He did not expect that the prince would be so powerful, and even an experienced military commander. Suddenly, after another volley of Kyurnshit, he felt blood on his face. It was Janai's arrow. Janai wounded him. The pain passed, and Radagast looked up to see who was shooting at him. Janai Racin's angry gaze was killing his soul. Waving his saber, he leapt forward and plunged his Kyurnshit into the chest of his opponent. Janai broke his saber and looked at Danav, so Danav immediately fled to the depths of his fortifications. Next time, he would have pierced Janai's heart, but Radagast had run out of arrows. Janai is also tired of this battle. He protected his warriors with his glory, and burned the whole area, turning it into a desert to rid the earth of sin. Now there were only ruins left in it, and Radagast himself and his danavas were already dead, and he couldn't do anyone any more good or harm. After that, Janai and his warriors triumphantly returned to the capital. Here he was met by the most distinguished sages, many of whom were already members of the Burnt Offering Council. They bowed to their Grand Duke, the son of the Almighty. But when Janai son of Ra entered the assembly hall, Everyone saw that he was pale as snow and sweat was rolling from his forehead. And then he whispered that he would never forget the great price that victory had cost him. After Janai, 70 chariots with riches and useful technologies, taken by the son of the sun from the defeated countries, entered the capital. Shilatai was next to Janai, and Saint Janai rewarded the faithful voivode, who, despite his divinity, remained to serve Arat and Ratai. Janai brought Shilatai to the throne of SagaR, and then the Almighty himself blessed the most faithful for his exploits. Shilatai was granted the powers of the Grand Duke of the South, and the right to create the Order of Monks of the Reborn Flame. Since many of Hagasta's minions have scattered all over the African continent, and found refuge in local tribes and countries, Shilatai had to create a reborn flame, and assemble a suitable army to eradicate all sin. A year after the victory over Hagastas, less than a year has passed. 12 years after the end of the victorious war over the Black Sea Danavas, 23 years after the start of this war, when the glorious sons of SagaR turned 38 years old, that is, 41 years after SagaR's victory over the coalition of European savage peoples, the news of the death of the mountain prince Natvar, who ruled in the southern lands, reached the Rat city, ostensibly to protect Kasvarna from the surviving descendants of Mosvanakti Aliath occupied this country. But then there was an attack by the southern sorcerer King Aliath, and on the territory of the Slavs. Long ago, even when SagaRA took over the reins of the capital Rat city, the sorcerer King Aliath, like Natvar, sent gifts to the coronation recognizing the supreme authority and primacy of SagaR both over King Aliath himself and over his empire. The small empire of the sorcerer King Aliath included some regions of the Balkans, the Apennines and North Africa. Since the Mediterranean Sea was not connected to the ocean at that time, its level was much lower. The abundant coastal areas that were then land are now flooded. Mantro-tantric practices were practiced there, and Ayurvedraman constantly expressed concern about the events taking place in the south, forbidding the sale of anything that could be used for evil to the lands of the sorcerer King Aliath. Without a preliminary declaration of war, without conflict or disputed territories, the sorcerer King Aliath attacked the nearby cities first, and later began to advance towards the Carpathians. SagaRA, at the head of his son's army, marched to the meeting, first defeated the reconnaissance detachments, and later the main army. The sinful sorcerer King Aliath fled. He quickly summoned the Danavian envoys, and formed an alliance with them against SagaR. Using ancient artifacts, he turned 200,000 of his soldiers into demonic mutated creatures, equipped them with various weapons and implants. When SagaR's troops approached the borders of the Sorcerer King, they encountered indescribable demonic monsters that had previously been heard of only in legends. SagaR's troops were defeated, and he and his sons retreated. After consulting with Ayurvedraman, he sent 4 ships to Perla, Antarctica, to search for the technologies needed in the war. At the same time, the Sorcerer King attacked the lands of the princes of the wild peoples, whom he had previously defeated, and annexed to his kingdom SagaRA. Remembering SagaR's mercy, the Talazani, Venari, Saki, Gaihai and barbarians resisted the mutant forces, and 14 small feral peoples betrayed SagaR by going under the banners of Aliath. Of the 4 ships sent to Pearl, only 2 returned, but they brought all the necessary technologies for cyber-strengthening Slavic warriors using ancient technologies. Seeing this, Talazan the prince and Balayadar the prince with their princely squads volunteered for cyber-reinforcing operations using technologies brought from Antarctica.